Well, this discussion of defunding the police has got nothing to do with actually defunding the police, and everything with terminology that allows for argument, discussion, and great news.
Thank you. That's my point. But and it's unfortunate, but you can't change it now because the aggrieved came up with that term.
Yes.
And they're so angry that if they're afraid that you might change the intent, even though they don't understand the public relations fiasco it creates.
Yes.
In trying to explain it.
Welcome to Peter and Phil's Courageous Conversations, a podcast addressing race relations and social issues in hopes that you'll be inspired to do the same. Now, let's begin our conversation with your hosts, Dr. Peter Weinstein and Dr. Phillip Nelson.
Welcome to Peter and Phil's Courageous Conversation. I'm Dr. Peter Weinstein. During the summer of 2020, shortly after the murder of George Floyd, Dr. Phillip Nelson and myself conducted a series of telephone conversations. We discussed a multitude of issues regarding Black-white relations in the United States and other socially based issues. Today, we're going to discuss the term defunding the police.
Defunding the police is a bad term. It's not what it means on the surface, but yeah, it is. It's that too. It's not abolishing the police. It's reallocating the peace savings that we should have invested differently in anyway. But it came from the oppressed, and the oppressed had limited ways of expressing themselves. As I told you in the first conversation, I may not know how to solve the problem you built.
Right.
All right. But I do know I've seen a whole lot of money go into police departments and very little money go into after-hour programs and social development for my people. The only time I see the police is when they think I'm getting in trouble. And the problem with policing is, as I said before, is the goal was to protect the city from me.
Right.
The goal was to keep me in my projects. And when I get out, I better walk a straight line. And if I violate any little part of the expected decorum, it's an opportunity to find out if I have more serious violations. So imagine the fear I might have the moment a blue light goes off. My fear is, am I only going to get a ticket?
Yeah. And that's different because my fear is the ticket. Your fear is not the ticket, but everything else.
That's right. If I get a ticket, oh man, God, I'm glad I only got a ticket.
Yeah, that's a relief.
That's a relief.
That makes no sense.
I know. Because see, my fear is they're going to tell me to put my hands on the hood before they ask me for my driver's license.
Right.
My fear is that they're going to search my car before they tell me they pulled me over because my tail light is out.
And my question is, what do we need to do so you don't have to have that fear?
Right. You defund the police. No, I'm sorry. What you do is you change the training and the expectation, which means, and you can't do that without resources.
Right.
So you teach the police to become protectors of the entire city, not just bottle up a segment of the city. And you teach the police to become service oriented.
Right.
Right. It's a good move. San Francisco is taking a step forward when they say, if it's a domestic dispute, we're not going to be sending the police anymore.
So we need to make police into 8-year-olds that are colorblind.
Yeah, I guess. I don't believe anybody can be colorblind.
No, but theoretically,
yes,
it's the act, not the person.
Right. But exactly. But Like for instance, the guy that I forgot his name in Atlanta, the guy that got shot in Atlanta.
Yes, he was the name was not traditional.
Yeah, but that is the perfect example of what I'm talking about. They had a 25-minute de-escalation interaction, and then at the last minute, I know why he fought. I know everybody's looking at it like, why is he struggling? It was a nice discussion. They were just going to put handcuffs on him. I know exactly why he fought. He fought because all he did was go to sleep in the drive-through of a Wendy's.
Right.
That's all he did. Yes, he caused a delay. He caused some problems. Even the person who called the police said, he's not causing any problems. I just think he's intoxicated. And the cops come in and they confirm, yeah, you're intoxicated. That's why you fell asleep. Now, if their job was to help citizens, they wouldn't use a hammer to kill a fly.
Right.
They would have considered, you know what? Let's park your car over here. We're going to give you a ride home. Okay? We didn't catch you driving, so we can't give you a ticket for driving drunk. But although you had to get here like this, but let's just take you home. I got real criminals to catch.
See, if it were me, they would have taken me home.
Yes. That's my point. Or they would have said, can somebody come pick you up?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can we call your wife?
Nope.
Really? Instead, I end up shot?
Yeah.
So I know exactly what he did. He was cooperating. He was talking to him. And then they said, you know what? I think you're intoxicated. I'm going to take you downtown. Give me your arms. And the moment you put my arms behind my back, wait a minute. I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
Really? You got to handcuff me? I don't understand protocol. I don't understand I got to be handcuffed. I haven't threatened you. Just put me in the car. You got a great big fence between me and you. If you're gonna take me down, take me, but don't humiliate me. Don't restrain. It's bad enough I fell asleep, but you can't understand that.
Don't hog tie me like a horse or a cow or something.
Right. Yeah. And the moment he realized that was about to happen, he lost it.
Well, and then you go from you escalate at that point in time, and all logic goes out the door.
Yes. Well, yeah, at that point, on both sides.
Exactly.
On both sides. But again, what I've learned is there's not enough training in the world that's going to overcome your sense of protection or empowerment.
Yep.
And the cop that shot had both.
Yep. And
how dare you run from me?
Yeah, and the fact of things that have happened in the last 2 weeks that have become headline news and in everybody's face goes back deep into your dark hard drive because you go back to your reptilian brain, which is to protect yourself.
Yeah, well, I'm going to use this one day, but I tell everybody that when we do interviews for applicants,
yes,
that's expensive.
Yes,
I bring in 400, 500 people to interview, and you all only reject 10% of them.
Yep.
From an expense perspective, you have to ask the question, why are you spending so much money?
Yep.
Right? Why are you spending so much money when out of 500 interviews, I still got 450 people that I got to pick from?
We want to put the work back on you.
Yeah, right? Well, my answer is this. The 50 people that you rejected out of those 500, those were the people who couldn't put their best foot forward and hide their worst tendencies for an hour.
Right.
That if I pick them, they would definitely be in my office every year.
Yep.
Right. And so I see this other guy. So I see the cop that did the shooting. Of any time in history, every cop ought to know they shouldn't be pulling their gun out unless they absolutely have to. This was it.
Yes.
And if he couldn't do it now, he has a basic problem. This was not because he felt threatened. Don't tell me that. He could not hide his tendency.
Right.
And it turns out he has a history.
It's interesting how these histories kind of show up now. It's like the guy in Minnesota had 19 complaints against him.
Yeah.
You know, so, if your faculty member had 19 complaints against him, would they still be a part of your faculty?
Yeah, especially if they get tenured before they get those 9, or they know how to use the system, right?
Right.
Anyway, my point is that the defund the police is really, that is the key, as long as the goal is to redesign our criminal system.
Well, that's what the outcome needs to be. It's not defunding the police, it's redefining the criminal system.
Exactly. But you do have to partially defund the police to do that. I guess the point is we don't need new taxes to get it done. We don't have to spend as much money on armored tanks and armored personnel carriers. We don't have to have as many special tactical units. Every little small city doesn't need one. Yeah. As a matter of fact, if it were me, I would only have armored tactical units in major cities in a state, and they would cover the whole state.
Well, this discussion of defunding the police has got nothing to do with actually defunding the police, and everything with terminology that allows for argument, discussion, and great news.
Thank you. That's my point. But and it's unfortunate, but you can't change it now because the aggrieved came up with that term. Yes. And they're so angry that if they're afraid that you might change the intent, even though they don't understand the public relations fiasco it creates.
Yes.
In trying to explain it.
So what the segue into the defunding came from, we've got to give value and items to do items. It can't just be two people talking. There's got to be things that come out of it that are action items for the audience.
Yes.
I'm not sure we're going to create those today.
No, we're not.
I do think there's a lot of people who think that they're the only person, so they can't do anything. I think that there is something that everybody can do. And let me read you a quote. I am only one, but still I am one. I cannot do everything, but still I can do something. And because I cannot do everything, I will not refuse to do the something that I can do.
Thank you for joining us for another courageous conversation. Be sure to follow us and check back next week for more.